Hello everybody, welcome back. It's Thomas. Today we're going to talk about the Apple versus Epic saga and the recent developments. So I've got some notes here. Let's go through my notes. So what initially happened? So back in 2020, Epic decided that they were going to start allowing you to purchase your in-game accessories online using an external payment provider, which is a violation currently, or was currently, a violation of Apple's terms of policy for the App Store and stuff like that you can't use an external provider. That's because they want 30% of the cut. So Apple take 30% of any in-app purchases made through the App Store, through an app distributed through the App Store. And Epic didn't want to do that because they wanted more money and they wanted Apple to have less. Most payment providers like Stripe charge about 3% plus or minus a bit. It's about 3% depending on your transaction, which is a lot less than 30%. So that was back in 2020, they decided to do that. Apple took the app off the App Store. They had a bit of a fight over it. They went to court. They eventually kind of won, but not very well. And basically, there's been a bit of a hoo-ha over the wording. So the judge said something like you can use external links or buttons or something else, right? And Apple chose to interpret that as being you can do one or the other or the other. They then imposed massive restrictions on them. So any links going external couldn't have any metadata associated with the user. Had to be a standard templated URL, so they had to re-log in online. There was some other stuff, but essentially they massively made this more inconvenient for the user. They also showed this massive warning pop-up that essentially said you go to the website, scary, Apple doesn't control this, etc, etc, etc. You get the idea. They really did all that. And then in between that case, back in about 2021 and now, so in between that, there's been a lawsuit between Google and Epic, I'm pretty sure. I could have this wrong. But essentially, in that lawsuit, Google lost. Google, landslide lost. They proved that Google, the 30% was a monopoly. The fact that they were paying people to have the Play Store on their devices was a monopoly. All that sort of stuff. And essentially they ruled that Google can't do that. They can't be paying people a commission to have the Google Play Store on their device. All that sort of stuff. So that big whole loss, that's a massive loss to Google. And really now in 2025, that's got an effect on Apple because essentially in 2025 in April, Judge Gonzalez held Apple in contempt of violating the 2021 injunction, saying that Apple introducing a 25% fee on external purchases and implementing deterrent messages, the big pop-up that you get when you click, are deemed to be obstructive to competition. So essentially, they are using their platform as a monopoly, and that is affecting what's going on and how it's all going to happen. They've accused Apple's vice president of finance lying under oath. So what are the implications of this? Apple is now prohibited from collecting commission from any purchase made outside of the App Store. Developers must be able to freely direct users to alternate payment methods outside of the App Store, web, whatever. A class action has been launched against Apple by developers for the commission that they paid. They want it back. And Epic Games is bringing Fortnite back to the iPhone. That's my notes. That's kind of what happened. Now let me give you some of my opinions. So, what do I think? Personally, this is a win for developers, I think. Overall, it's a win. You don't have to use Apple's in-app purchases. You can purchase externally. You can link to external providers, all that sort of stuff. I do think that Apple will be upset, annoyed, whatever is the right way of putting it, that this might affect some of the tooling and some of those sort of stuff around that area. Like, not necessarily Xcode, but some of the ways that Xcode is developed to help make some of these things work. You might see them fluctuate, as Apple will be a bit pissed because they're no longer getting commission from any of these people, and they no longer benefit from any sales on the App Store that don't happen through in-app purchases. But realistically, my opinion is I think it's a good thing. I think it was only a matter of time that this was going to happen. I guess back in 2008 or 2009 when they introduced the App Store, it wasn't bad. The 30% cut wasn't bad. There was a lot of infrastructure and all that sort of stuff that had to go into it. They weren't making a lot of money from it. Whereas these days, thousands of apps are getting distributed on the App Store and they're making a load of money. Like, I want to say something like 2 billion is Apple's App Store services model, and like a lot of that will be percentage cuts from in-app purchases that realistically could be subsidized elsewhere from other things. And I don't quite think that's right, because they're essentially charging people who build games and stuff who are trying to make a living out of it. Whereas, like, if you think about it, like a banking app that has no physical in-app purchases, they're not giving Apple any extra money. They're just paying the one-time fee of the year. Whereas if you've got a small little bloke who's made an app that's in the App Store and they're getting some in-app purchases to, I don't know, part of the game, he's giving loads of that money to Apple. And realistically, that's hurting the indie devs more than it's hurting the big global companies building these major apps. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts. I thought you guys would be interested to know what I thought. Hope you've enjoyed. If you have, there's a button specifically for that, and I will see you in the next one.